Hey everybody, I'm Chris Brady and we are back for another day of learning about how the sensory information is, really starting to overload those emotions and how the emotions affect the learning, because we want to help our kids learn and we can't do that unless we first address the emotional responses that we're seeing. So we talked about this yesterday, and I just want to thank you so much for all the comments yesterday and all of the likes. It really helps a lot when you comment and share this stuff, because I know the more people that this reaches, the more emails I get from parents who are frustrated and feel like they're failing and feel like they're not doing enough. And I understand that, as we do in this amazing community that we have. We understand that this is the feeling, that it just always feels like we're constantly putting out fires every day and we're never really preventing anything. And so, I talked a bit yesterday about how that was how I was feeling. Not that long ago, and I didn't understand how to change any of it. I really just thought that was a part of parenting, and to feel all that anger and frustration and constant overwhelm. And when my child wasn't learning anymore, and me coming from, a background of years and years of experience in this, wasn't figuring this out, I knew like I must be missing a piece here, and I didn't understand what I was missing until I started to learn how to regulate emotions. And I started off, yes, with my own, because I needed my child to learn how to do that through me. And so this was the biggest game changer for me, because what happened was I started to understand that this was the piece I was missing with my clients too. And when I was asked to work with an amazing group of people at a college. This was several years ago, and I started working in a program that was specifically for apprentices. So, plumbers and electricians and sheet metal workers, and many of them with ADHD or dyslexia or, undiagnosed autism. And what was happening was these were people who were incredibly overwhelmed. They had almost no time. They were not typical college students. They had families at home. They had, mouths to feed and bills to pay. And they were coming in for these very intense 8 to 12-week courses. And their job was pretty much on the line. They needed to get this in order to get their job back, pretty much. And so what I started doing was, I thought I need to put this in place with my clients. I need to go get certified in mindfulness so that I can start learning how to integrate this into the learning piece. And because that's really where my heart is, right? And so I did that, and I was very reluctant to, I thought that it was this form of meditation, right? And I thought, I don't have time for this either. I've got 3 little kids at home. I don't have time for this at my job, nothing. And what I want to assure you is that it didn't take time, okay? Time wasn't the issue. It took 3 minutes a day. That's what I started with, 3 minutes a day. That's it. And I'm telling you this because that's what I started these guys on. So these apprentices who were coming in, they were very angry that they even needed to be there, many of them. They were angry that the coursework was so intense, and the readings were, the huge textbooks like this to bring home, sitting in a classroom for lectures that were hours long, that, for many of these learners, they were very hands-on kinesthetic learners who weren't learning this way. And, sitting in the classroom wasn't how they did it well in high school either. And so when we started integrating just a little bit of the mindfulness technique first into the session and then going into the learning, it changed everything. I had guys coming back saying, this has literally changed my life. I'm having better conversations with my wife. My wife is noticing differences. My kids are noticing differences in my ability to listen to what they're saying and what they need from me. This was, the transformation was so huge. And I want to tell you this because oftentimes when we think about emotions, we think about little tantrums from, toddlers, and that's not the case, especially when we're dealing with the senses, right? This is where, this leads and follows you through all the way through adulthood. And if this isn't fixed at some point, if someone doesn't teach you this skill back here, you're going to still have these difficulties down the line. It doesn't stop for your child. And that's what I want to really get through today, is that we have that 3 minutes a day to start this process, because it's so imperative that we start it now so that when they are adults, it isn't years and years and years of having self-esteem kicked to the curb, or, being told that they're not good enough, they're not smart enough, they're not enough, right? We're starting here. And so I wanted to, I had brought in this yesterday, and I kind of made it a little bit better for today, but I wanted to just go over, and I think I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. So I wanted to go over, we've got, the 5 senses here: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And what happens is this stuff, yes, is going to tell us, what's going into the short-term memory and what's eventually going to get into our long-term memory, right? And the problem, though, is that our senses, before they go anywhere, it takes about a millisecond for them to go into our limbic system. And I don't know how well you can see that, but it goes into our limbic system. And our limbic system is directly responsible for our emotions. And so when you tell me that, oh, what do your senses do? Your senses do everything. Because if your limbic system is overloaded with all of this massive amount of sensory input because you don't have a sensory filter, then your emotions are then going to be controlling everything. They're going to control what gets into the memory. They're going to control what gets retained, what information you're going to be able to focus on. They are going to control everything. And so what happens is that when we don't have a sensory filter that is, regulated internally, all of the senses, are getting all of this input from different external information that is overloading and is making us very much aware that we can't regulate this on our own. And so, you start to see, you've probably seen children wearing noise canceling headphones, right? Or even earplugs in certain situations, because that is something external that's going to help them to just filter out some of that noise that is taking away from their ability to hear anything else, to do anything else, right? And again, we don't just grow out of these difficulties with sensory sensitivities. This follows us through all the way into adulthood. So it's very, very important that we either figure out what external things we can use to help with those sensory sensitivities, like the headphones or the earplugs or whatever, or start to figure out how we can start to teach them how to self-regulate. Okay. And so immediately they might put the headphones on, but they also will have some kind of activity that they can do that will start to calm those emotions so that they can stay on task. Okay. So this is not like I said, this isn't just for children. This is what was happening at the adult level. And it's all very based on sensory to emotion to learning. Okay. And so I really want to, this was the whole reason that I started to create the course. Create the Calm was a step-by-step process that was able to just bring my clients through this process of understanding the sensory, the emotions, and the learning piece, where they're really struggling, and the exact strategies we can put in place to compensate for that. That was the whole premise. And what happened was, this is really for all ages, and that's the beauty of it. And it's not, just like the apprentices who were coming in and saying this, this is changing my family dynamic. This too changes the family dynamic, because you're going to start reducing the fighting. You're going to start understanding the perspective of your child and what is going on and why these behaviors are happening and why this learning isn't happening and what we can do to change that. I want you to parent from a place of knowledge and confidence, because that's what I can give you, and I want your child to have that. So I wanted to just go over that information today, because it's so important for me to get you to understand. I know you know that things can be better, and I'm here to tell you that they definitely can. So I have a free PDF that I would like to give out to everyone. Again, I started with 3 minutes a day, and these are 3-minute activities. So you can start this process today. All you need to do is, I'd love for you to either comment below and say, yes, please, give it to me, or tell me where you're from, or tell me something you learned today. Just put a comment in, or share this video so that other parents can figure out the emotional difficulties for their children as well. So comment or share, and I will be sending out those PDFs today. You're going to get 5 activities that you can either do with your child, you can do with teens. I've done this with plenty of teenagers, or you can just do them on your own to start the practice as well. So let me know in the comments. That's great, Heather. I will definitely be sending you one today. And I will see you guys again tomorrow with another session for this week, all about how to teach our children to learn in the way that works for them. See you tomorrow, guys. Thanks.